What's up, y'all? It's your boy Shazne. Here's my thoughts on The Batman. I've seen the film twice so far. I waited till I got to see it twice before, putting up this video. And first off, let me get it off real quick. I absolutely loved the film. What Matt Reeves was able to accomplish with this film is truly astonishing and quite impressive in so many different levels. Because Batman is one of the most iconic characters of all time. We've seen so many incarnations, in live action. Like let's even stick to live action. I mean, there's animated films and stuff, and of course comic books, but let's stick to live action. And for him to come in here, and to also really have a trilogy plan. I know, they all want to make a great single film, but obviously there's a lot of potential here. Of course, there's probably been a actual plan to do a trilogy. Obviously, they don't. It's not. It was never going to be a one off. All right, it was never going to be a one off. But to come in here with an idea and a vision this unique in a somewhat, I'll be honest, in a saturated Batman period. Like now, let's include comic books. Like when it comes to DC comics, we get more Batman comic books than anything else. Like it's abuse. Even the DC animated movies, a lot of Batman. It's just always Batman, a different kind of Batman. But he's such an incredible character, nobody's gonna ever get tired of him. But live action, that could be a risk because what Christopher Nolan was able to pull off with Batman was essentially a masterpiece. And I really, really loved Zack Snyder's idea of Batman with Ben Affleck's Batman. And we're getting Michael Keaton's Batman again back in Flash. And all this Batman, Batman, Batman. Yet, you walk into this film, from the opening shot, you just knew that you're in it for something super unique and an absolute immersive cinematic experience. Let's talk about the first two sequences. It starts out with a murder and how that was executed, the way the shots were composed, the lighting. You're already in it. Like Matt was telling you, this is the movie you're in it for. And then the Batman's opening scene. So the beginning it starts out with Riddler's opening scene. This Thompson video might have some minute spoilers, but I'm not, that's not my intention. But I just want to kind of be free in ways of me sharing my thoughts, so I might say certain things that you don't want to hear. So if you want to be clear and safe and don't want to know nothing, watch the movie first before watching this video. So the opening sequence is with Riddler, and then we get to the opening sequence for the Batman and the setup, the voiceover. And usually I'm somebody who's kind of iffy on voiceovers. I think it's a very unique and a hard tool to actually execute and make it actually feel immersive, because sometimes you don't want to be told and just experience visually. But Matt Reeves was able to use voiceover in a very effective way, and also makes sense narratively for the character. So when it starts out with the voiceover for the Batman sequence and the setup, you're introducing the world of Gotham as a character. The lighting, again, the composition, the way cameras move, and there's some beautiful, brilliant lines. All right, that Batman speaks there. Robert Pattinson Batman speaks there. It is quite incredible. And then this whole tugs, everybody's being afraid of the bat signal, which was obviously always beautiful to see. The fear, the bat symbol causing that much fear is always dope. And then the sequence takes place. This couple of thugs wanna, beat up this innocent man or something, and then they're looking at this dark alley, this dark shadow, and then you hear, like, you hear the boots heavy, like it feels like such a power in every step. And I love that feeling. So I was watching it in IMAX. I watched the film twice in IMAX, and the boots. You feel like Batman is really coming towards you. That scene, it's it's masterclass. It's amazing. It's beautiful. I love it. I was going nuts. I remember watching for the first time. I was in my seat. I'm like, oh my, yo, what is this? This is so dope. I love how it made me feel. And we got Robert Pattinson's Batman coming out of there, and this dude looks pure perfection. this is Batman right here. And I've been on board with Robert Pattinson since the beginning because I've always followed his career, because all of his choices post Twilight always been interesting. I remember watching a film like Remember Me, which I think the film you can call the film whatever you want, but his performance was unique. I really love the way he performed. You know how he gets into the characters, and throughout his career, he's given some incredible performances. So when he was announced as Batman, I knew this dude's gonna go above and beyond, bringing the character to life in a special, unique way of his own. And he did a wonderful job of that. And that whole fight scene, and everything, that was great. And then now you get introduced to Batman and Bruce Wayne. The film is basically 95% Batman and 5% Bruce Wayne, but you can always argue that it is 100% Batman because he's Batman all the time, every time. You know, the way he looks, the way he stands, the way he speaks, everything is constantly Batman, which is a unique take, and I do hope that the Bruce Wayne aspect is what's going to evolve, because I feel like Batman knows who he is and who he becomes at the end of the film, but Bruce Wayne, I feel like, is yet to be discovered, and I think that could be an interesting element they could, keep working on forward. So now the movie starts off, and all this, Riddlers and all this stuff is happening, which is good. But let me talk about some of the issues I have with the film. I think it's not issues, more of a issue. The first time around, I love the fact that the movie was 3 hours long. Because you're experiencing for the first time, and I'm going through the motion. I'm experiencing this wonderful storytelling, and it was a great experience. But even the first time, I felt the length. It's one thing that a film is 3 hours long. Another thing is the fact that you felt the runtime. Because I'm cool with movies being 3 hours long, 4 hours long. I don't care. Like, as long as the movie earns those minutes, earns those earns that storytelling, it feels necessary, it's all good. But it's always an issue when it's starting to feel the length. Even though I'm enjoying everything I'm seeing, I could feel it. And the second time around, this is how I truly felt. That's why I wanted to watch the movie again before making this video. The movie is 3 hours long. The first sequence with the Riddler and the second sequence, which is the first sequence for the Batman, both fantastic, masterclass. But the first hour of the film, I find it somewhat a little too long. Some people said, they talked about the third act. I love the third act. So for me, how I see it is that the first hour of the movie could have been somewhat 20 to 30 minutes shorter for the rewatchability of this film for me. The reason I say that, for me, I could only speak for myself, the detective aspect of the film is interesting, but the riddles themselves are not as interesting the second time you watch. The first time, you're also going through the motion, so you're excited, but when you're rewatching it, you're more so waiting for that scene to be over so you can move on to the next one. And I genuinely feel like that in the first hour. But the movie starts to pick up, like, I think with the chase scene, which I'll get to. Oh my god, I'll get to that. But it's during that point, after an hour later, the second hour of the movie picks up on a level that I truly love, and I wish the entire film felt that way. For me, the second hour and the third hour were fantastic, were great. But the second time I was watching it, I felt the first hour could have dealt a little bit better, could have been paced better. I felt like it was taking a little too long, especially my second viewing, because I'm speaking in a way where the movie felt long, and I'm trying to figure out where did I feel that length, because the second and the third hour, the movie went real quick to me. The second time was even faster than the first time when I was watching the film. But then when I was thinking back, but the first hour, I'm like, damn, like, this is taking some time, and that's where my issue actually lies, in terms of the pacing of the first hour could have been dealt better for the rewatchability, because I love rewatching films that I love. So that's where, when it comes to the runtime, that's my take and my position with the runtime. Like, I'm cool with the movie being 3 hours, 4 hours. It doesn't matter. Like, runtime really doesn't matter to me. It's just the fact that when I'm watching the film, every minute should be earned. I should be really immersed into the pacing where it doesn't bother me. Everything felt necessary. Here, I can't deny the fact that I felt somewhat like the detective aspect was interesting, yet it wasn't quite exciting the second time around for me. So that's where I'm at. So we get past the first hour of the film, and the second hour, that's where like some of the best set pieces are taking place. And the car chase scene. My God, the Batmobile chase is one of the greatest chase scenes I've ever seen in my life. And what's so crazy is the fact that it played even better the second time I watched it. The first time I watched it was I really enjoyed it. I thought that was dope. But the second time, it was even better. The edit, the way everything felt, the visceralness, the immersiveness. Like I was watching in IMAX, and when the jet hits, the entire IMAX is like shivering, and that was such a dope experience. So I was like really into it. So when that happened, from that point on, the movie takes off to a whole other level, and it never stops. It never stops. And there's so many great moments in the film. Like some of my favorite scenes are actually the quiet moments. I love the scene in the hospital with Bruce and Alfred. I thought that was a beautiful moment. I actually kind of teared up because I really resonated with the dialogue and the performances there. So I thought that scene was really wonderful. Really loved the scene between Paul Dano and Rob Pattinson in Arkham Asylum. I thought that was quite brilliant. So I think those two scenes, including the chase sequence, are probably my top three favorite sequences. Of course, also including probably the introduction for the Batman, the intro of Batman. So I think those four scenes are the ones that I'm constantly thinking about, and I almost want to go back and watch it again for the third time. But the only reason I'm kind of hesitant because I don't want to go through the first hour. That's my issue. I just feel like, okay, the detective aspect is interesting when you watch it for the first time, but the riddles are not as exciting after the first time. After the first time you watch it, like it's not. It didn't work for me the same way it did the first time when I watched it. I also really loved the complexity and the internal performance Robert Pattinson delivered. Because I always appreciate performance where characters aren't saying much, but they're emoting so much underneath, and you can see so much in between those eyes. And I really, really love that experience, and I think Robert Pattinson was incredible. It might be the greatest Batman performance. I'm not saying the greatest Batman literally, but I'm saying in terms of a pure performance, the depth and the range he took this character in this film was probably the most impressive out of any films prior to this one. Because what I love about the Batman, with his issues, without his issues, whatever, overall as a film, it's how personal it felt. There was a singular vision behind this movie. There was an orchestrator orchestrating this film from start to finish. And that's what makes it so special and unique. Because sometimes you don't get that personal with a film, especially on this scale and genre. It's hard for filmmakers to do so. Most of the times there might be some personal elements, some great moments and scenes, but overall, some of these superhero films or just blockbusters in general may feel like it's made by a committee and with some check boxes. Like, we gotta have all these things and let's craft a story that can include all of those things. But Batman didn't feel that way. It felt like a singular personal vision, and I think that's what made it so immersive and honestly transcending, especially for with a character like Batman that is so familiar and we already know essentially what Batman is in so many different ways, and to also give us a new fresh perspective on him. I thought it was quite brilliant. So that's what the Batman was for me. We gotta talk about the score. The score was absolutely fan freaking tastic, man. I think we got another iconic, great Batman themes that we're gonna be hearing for many more years. So I can't wait. So that was a great addition to the score overall. Was really, really brilliant, and like there's some great variations for different circumstances and situations. I thought it was fantastic. So a lot of this film for me was just really surprising because you walk in expecting one thing, but you're actually getting something else because its trailers felt like it was going to be an action-packed film, but this is more of a crime drama. Action is not necessarily the focus whatsoever. When it's there, it's impressive. I think a chase scene is probably the highlight for me because a lot of the other set pieces or action scenes that I loved, I wish it was longer. You know, I always felt like I wanted the one action scene that felt satisfying because it always felt like it was cut short. Like, I mean, narratively it made sense, but I feel like none of it kind of felt like, oh man, it was long enough for me. I wish there was a little bit more, but that's okay. You know, that wasn't the focus. Whatever to serve the story, and can't wait for the next two films, man. I think what Matt Reeves got with this trilogy, if this is the first of its trilogy, I can't even imagine the level of greatness we'll be experiencing in the coming years. So with that said, let me know what y'all thought of the Batman in the comments down below. Did you guys felt the same way about me when it comes to runtime or not? Are you guys like, nah, at 3 hours, I wish the movie was 4 hours? Whatever you felt, let me know, because this is just my take and my experience. Love to know yours in the comments down below. And that's for always. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and see you guys on my next one. Salute.